everything.
Alright guys, in this next project we're going to be doing the Open Weather API project in AngularJs. What we're going to go over is we're going to obviously review data binding and setting up our app and our controller. If you haven't done the tribute page, I would do that one first, as that's what the video's main purpose is. We're also going to be using ng-href, which is going to allow us to dynamically set the href of anchor tags. We're going to be using our first filter to change things to uppercase by default. We're also going to be using ng-source as well as ng-init, where you can essentially initialize a variable using Angular, ng-show, and ng-click. We're going to be doing all these things, as well as ng-repeat, which is a crucial part of Angular and you use on a almost daily basis, I feel like, but those are the key concepts that we're going to cover. This is going to be in two parts, so go ahead and check out this first part where we get the foundation of it set up, and the second part where we connect some more of the logic as well as style it a bit. But as always, thanks for watching. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright guys, we are back in our AngularJS Open Weather API project. We're going to be building out some functionality now. Now, there's a couple things that we want to do. I think at this point it might be easiest if we start cleaning up our HTML before we start doing that. So let's go ahead and jump into there and get that. So everything's looking pretty solid. Now, the way that I did this was I used Bootstrap. So we're gonna go ahead and first thing we're gonna do is close out that JS, and we're gonna start putting some H1s, H2s, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll have an H1 tag here around our channel heading. So we'll have that out. We'll then have our H2 around our subheading. H2 slash H2. Very nice. And then I believe I put a H3, yes, an H3 here around our other output slash H3. So let's start getting that. So you're seeing everything slowly getting formatted. Now, what do we want to do next? Well, we can use Bootstrap to assign some classes to these. And what we're going to do is just put a bunch of anchor tags. And we're going to use I don't think we need an href, so we're going to use a class is equal to btn-lg, which is just a large button class, and then btn-primary. And then we'll go ahead and close this /a. And now you'll see right here, we have our clear sky. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing to everything else. Don't worry right now that there's two buttons for the temp. And then we're going to do the same here. We're going to address that with additional functionality later on in the video. So we're going to do this like so. Now, one thing I just realized is that in the last video I was trying to set it up so that we got everything that we needed, but it looks like I forgot to get the icon. So let's go ahead and jump back into our JavaScript real quick, and let's get our icon. So the icon being the little sun icon, like what's the sky like. So let's jump back into our Open Weather URL, and we're just going to go ahead and create vm.icon is equal to, and then this is just something I got from the documentation, but basically it's going to get the icon for the 0 index, and when we're going to truncate it here. Now, why are we truncating it, or why are we concatenating it here like so? The reason for it is we're going to actually pass it into an image right now. So let's go to that first button. We'll put a little bit of a space, then we can put a img ng-src is equal to. Let's go ahead and close that as well. And then in here, we're going to just go ahead and pass in icon. And there we go. We have our icon like so. Everything's looking pretty good. So far, so good. So what do we want to do next? Well, now that we have these buttons, and they're kind of looking together, let's go ahead and center that real quick. We're going to use a Bootstrap class called TextCentered. Now, what we can do here is we can just go ahead and assign a class to the body, text center, That should work just fine. So there we go. Everything's centered at this point. Now, what do we want to do next? Well, let's learn a little bit about filters and how they work. If you notice, small thing is I had this all in caps. Now, we're outputting the value. How do we change that if we don't want to change it here? Well, we can use a filter. Now, you don't have to do this, but this is just a quick way of showing you some things. Now, let's go down to our description. We're going to put this line in here, and there's this filter called uppercase. There's filters for quite a bit, but they basically give you functionality that, is pretty standard or pretty easy to implement. So you see now that this is clear sky, so that's how you use filters. If you want to look up more, just go ahead and check out the documentation. Now, next thing is we want only one of these to show, and then when one of them clicks. So let's go ahead and jump to the first one, ftemp. The way that we're gonna make this work is we're gonna use something called ng init and ng show and ng click. These are all things that basically the Angular has that allows us to do various things and set variables. Ng init, which we'll do right now, is gonna let us to initialize a variable. This is basically the equivalent of saying temp val. A variable temp val is equal to true. That's what we're doing right here. It's the same thing, except we're doing it using Angular. Now, what we're going to use next is something called ng-show. Now, when this returns a true value, such as temp val, it's going to show the anything that's within here. Essentially, it's going to show our button. Now, what we want to happen is for this value to change using ng click. This will essentially reset the value to the opposite of what it is. So we'll just say temp val is equal to not temp val. So we're just setting our true to false. So right now we'll be able to click it once and it should hide. Temp val ng temp val is equal to true. ng show temp val. Sorry guys, just checking my logic here. And then we have ng dash click temp val is equal to not temp val. Oh, I see where our error is. So make sure, of course, that you set your you name your variables correctly. But now when we click it, you'll see that it's hidden. Okay, but that's not exactly what we want to do. So let's go ahead and do the rest of it. We're basically going to take half of this code and assign it to our ctemp here. Now, because we already initialized the variable, we don't need to use ng init. Instead, we're just do ng show, and we're going to set this equal to not temp val. Now, basically, we're setting, instead of it being true, we're saying, look, when it's false, show this. That's what's going on here. And then we're going to set ng click to be the opposite. So it's going to be going one, then the other, one, then the other, one, then the other. That's basically how we're going to make these act as buttons. So we can just go ng click, and we're going to set this equal to the same thing. We're going to set whatever the value of temp val is, it's equal to the opposite of temp val. And because the ng show values are different, only one's going to be showing at a time. So let's see. We're going to click it, we're going to show it. We're going to click it, we're going to show it. We're going to click it, we're going to show it. So it's switching the values. So that's how we're able to create this button functionality like so. But now that we have that, let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit more. We can go ahead and import a font family, make this a little bit more. Let's go ahead and name our file as well. We'll do YouTube version API open weather. So I can go back to this, and we're just going to go ahead and import a font that I found that I liked into the header. Now you normally put this into the head tag, so here is this. We'll save and close. Save and close. Now I use something called, I created a class called .info that we're just going to go ahead and assign to right here. So we'll just call it info, and we're going to jump into our CSS, and we're going to assign a font family to the info class. So this is going to be font-family, allows you to assign a font, and our font in this case is going to be Montserrat. So everything should import this, like so. So there's it, nice big bold font, as I wanted. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do is add a little bit of margin to our buttons. These are all a little bit too close for my liking, so we're just going to target that btn-lg class that we are using for our buttons. So we're set margin. We'll just put 5 pixels, 5px. And you'll see it adds a little bit of spacing. Cool. We're almost there at this point. The last thing that we really need to do is to use something that's going to set the background based off of what we're doing. The way that we do that is with a switch statement. Let me go ahead and pull up my notes real quick so I can show you. Now, you're going to need about 8 backgrounds for how I do this. So feel free to use the backgrounds I have. If you're looking for a place to get backgrounds, I use unsplash.com. I'm not affiliated or sponsored by them, although I wish I would be because I do promote them in almost every one of these videos. But they have tons of videos, especially for weather. You type in the word cloud, you get hundreds. So they're all high quality and they're all free to use, so you can use them in your projects as well. Definitely check it out. That's where all my images came from. Now, how are we going to set the background? We're going to use we're going to use the switch statement on our VM description. Remember this clear sky. This changes based on the condition of the sky, and that's how we're going to do it. And there's about 9 of them. So let's go ahead, and I want to make sure I'm within what I need to be here. So this is we'll do it right below here. Close this up a little bit. Close this up. So what we're going to do is essentially set the background for something down the road. First thing that we're going to do is start our switch statement. And remember, this is going to be checking for vm.description, which we have already defined. Now what we're going to do next is create a case that's going to check to see if that's the description. So our case here, like we know right now, is clear sky. And within here, we're going to then go ahead and set the background using something called ngStyle. But first, let's go ahead and define our background parent. We're basically going to define right now we're defining our CSS. That's what we're doing. We're going to set properties for the CSS, their values, and then we're going to pass those in using ngStyle. So let's go ahead and create something called vm.weatherBackground. This is just going to be able to store the properties. And we're going to set this equal to, don't forget this, and don't forget your break statement in each one of these cases as well. We're going to set the background property, and then we're going to set this equal to the value that we want it. So background, and then this is just going to be URL, and then we're going to pass in our URL like so. And our example here, it's the clear sky one, so you're going to need to put single quotes within the double quotes. And then we're also going to set the background-size parameter. So let's go ahead and do that as well. And this is going to be with the value of cover. Okay, now that we have one example, you'll notice that nothing has changed yet in our background. It's because we haven't used it yet. What we're going to do is jump back over to our HTML, and we're going to instantiate into the body here the ng-style. So that weather object that we just created, ng-style is going to read it as CSS, and it's going to set it for us. So we're going to have weather background, and now you'll see that we have our background. Cool. So how are we going to set it up so that multiple things are changing? Well, we just have to repeat what we did. Right now we have it set up so that clear sky is displaying. There's one, we're going to go ahead and I'll copy one more of these in, and then I'll put the rest in as well. So what we want to actually set that's going to be different than each one of these cases is a default. But it's usually good to have a default. So you'll see right here. Just going to go ahead and put default. This is basically what happens when none of the values change. And the reason that we're setting this is in case they change the API, at least we'll have a default image going and it just won't break. So we're going to weather background, and then with same thing, same exact properties, except one's slightly different. So we're just going to set that, and then, oh, what did I do? Oh, one too many. One too many. And then we're going to have a break statement. This is going to essentially, if we change this, so right now it's reading our clear sky description. Now say for whatever reason clear sky, we change it to clear sky 1, which would break it. It's going to then go ahead and reset the value like so to our default 1. And this is important in case anything breaks. So cool, let's reset that. Now at this time we're going to I'm going to copy and paste the rest of these in here, and I'll just make a minor note about what they are and what they're supposed to do. And by the looks of it, I have duplicate. So, alright, so we did clear sky, so case broken clouds, few clouds, mist, rain, scattered clouds, shower rain, snow, and thunderstorm. Cool. So let me copy this over. I'll put that in between. Default is always going to be your last one. Now what I copied and pasted over is basically just all the other descriptions of the icons. It goes from, there's about 8, there's clear sky, broken clouds, few clouds, mist, and then this duplicate mist. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And then we have rain, scattered clouds, shower rain, snow, thunderstorm, and then our default. This is going to set the background to each one of these based off what the description is or what the sky looks like. So we'll have our backgrounds floating in and out, and that's pretty much it. We can also assign our URL value here. We're going to use NGSRC for that. So let's go ahead and do, we have our, what is this, channel info, subheading 2.name. So we can go ahead and do ahref is equal to channel info dot subheading heading 2 dot link, and then we'll go ahead and close this bad boy out, /a. This needs to be ng-src or ng-href, and then this is actually in the wrong spot as well. So let's go ahead and Control X this, throw it outside the H3, and take this. Oops. Sorry guys, a little bit sloppy here. Control X. For some reason that's affecting our thing like so. I'll have to take another look at this later. But it's working just fine, but for some reason it's affecting our code. I think perhaps I might have a little bit of a bug here somewhere. Let's go ahead and put this on the inside and see if that fixes what's going on. Some very interesting stuff going on right now. Oh, I see. Here we are. So I forgot to close the tag. There we go. Alright, so now we'll have this, and of course if you want it to open up to another page, we can go ahead and just set target is equal to blank, and in your example it'd probably be to your portfolio page. Go here, you'll see it'll go to my channel. Definitely subscribe, like, and share if you want to join the coding community. We're almost at 10K, so that's exciting. By the time this video comes out, we'll be at 10K. Alright, but that's pretty much it, guys. This is how to do it in AngularJS. It's pretty straightforward. We have our various projects. You click the buttons, the background resets. We showed how to use a filter. We showed how ng show works, ng init, ng click. We also showed how to use HTTP GET, how to create objects, and how to link objects, and how to use JSON. So, and how to use the OpenWeather API, and how to use the API location one. But I hope you guys found this helpful. Thank Thank you for all the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and support me on Patreon. I'm trying to get that Patreon money up so I can upgrade the content to 4K moving forward. So if you can support me in that fashion, that would be great. Thanks for watching the video. Special thanks to our sponsor, Dev Mountain. Definitely check them out at devmountain.com. If you're looking for a bootcamp that's in front-end development, iOS, or UX, go ahead and give them a shot. Tuition includes housing, so you can get up and go and fully immerse yourself in the program. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.